Welcome to the Some Laugh podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No, there's going to be some.
It's some laugh.
Back with the one and only Brido Hingwy.
Brido Hingwy.
I was just watching that clip the other day to try and I was like, I'm going on this again. And I was like, the debate rolls on.
Of Hingwy or Hingwy.
Oh, yeah. Particularly since that clip came out.
It's almost as if there's no right answer.
Aye.
That's
It's
deliberate.
not binary.
No, it's one of those things, the perennial question. It's like, choose your own ending.
Aye. People get very particular about like Scottish phrases generally, and like what they mean, and we say this and we say that. Like, see the amount of comments I've had, seen that old Scottish phrases, but I done stand up. See the amount of people that dig me up for saying potato scone rather than tatty scone or totty. I would say totty scone.
I would say totty scone as well.
I think tatty scone's more an East Coast thing almost.
I think I say tatty scone.
It depends.
But you see, we get into this cauldron of debate with it.
Yeah.
It's really serious.
Hingwy or Hingwy.
Yeah.
Really
You
important.
you say potato, I say
Totty.
totty.
Let's call the whole thing off. It's a great song.
But and even in Edinburgh as well, because I talk about square sausage, but
They call it larm.
they call it slice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
slice.
You want slice, eh?
Salt and
Which
sauce.
is
Salt and
again
sauce.
it's not a unfamiliar language to us. If somebody says slice, I know what they're talking about. But
Yeah,
I'm never saying slice of my own accord.
And they would know when we say square sausage, they would know what that is. So I don't know why you go.
Oh, you mean slice, eh?
No,
You
I don't
want a wee
mean
bit of
slice.
slice, eh?
Wait, you're going to alienate all your audience, or half of them.
I don't think half our audience are in Edinburgh. Some of them are in Edinburgh, but listen, they know what they fucking sound like.
I know.
They know what they
Wise up.
sound like.
Wise up.
Come
Actually,
on.
I do quite like the Edinburgh accent. It's grown on me.
I like Edinburgh as a place.
The salt and sauce thing changed my whole chippy experience.
I've never tried.
This is
that.
interesting because I was talking on recent episode about this actually in fucking. So you're a pro salt and sauce guy,
Big time. And then since then, when I have a chippy in Glasgow, I get salt and vinegar and brown sauce all over. And
Right.
it comes to roughly the same thing.
because this is my thing. I was always sort of confused by salt and sauce, right? Because I didn't know what it was, and to me, what I understood it to be is it's basically brown sauce with vinegar through it.
Aye. I think they
Is
say
it
it's half and
Water
half.
doing
Yeah.
brown sauce with vinegar. But the thing is, here's the kicker for me. I don't like brown sauce. Never have.
Do you like vinegar?
Never will. I do like vinegar.
Well, then forget it.
Well, that's it.
Wouldn't suit you at all.
Do you know, I think brown sauce to me is such a like. There's certain things I remember as a kid in the 90s that were about that have fucking vanished, and I'm so glad to never see them again. And one of them for me is brown sauce.
Brown sauce was a lot more, I think, popular in the 90s.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
It's
think so.
because it was probably for an older generation. I don't know the ins and outs, but I would assume brown sauce perhaps was cheaper than ketchup. Maybe that was seen as an American thing.
Could have been. You know what HP stands for?
What?
Houses of Parliament.
Is that why?
there is a wee
Is that
house
why
of Parliament
Westminster's on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make me feel any better about eating it. Do you know what I mean?
No, but what?
There's a brand called Daddy's
Aye.
sauce,
Yeah.
which is quite sexy, but I think
It just depends what you're into.
yeah.
I like the Houses of Parliament. I'm more turned on by the
You're
green
more
couches,
conservative.
you know. But it's whatever you like.
I think my dad used to like Daddy's brown sauce. And what flavour is brown sauce?
Brown.
Yeah, it's like a blue slushy. It's blue flavour. I don't know. What is it even?
Because I'm sure it says on the bottle fruity, something fruity.
There is something about fruit. But
Has
it's
it
like
got
Iron
any-
Brew is supposed to be like a mixed fruit sparkling drink. And
Is
you're like,
it?
but it's not anything.
Is
Yeah.
it got has it got vinegar in it normally? Brown sauce.
Don't know. Wouldn't be surprised. It's got a tartness.
Aye, but to me it's like Kunzel ketchup. I think. I bet you that's what it was back in the
That
day.
would be a great new brand of brown sauce. Jennings
I mean-
Kunzel ketchup.
They could obviously do a bit of rebranding, given that they've got a sort of retro appeal.
Big time, yeah.
Maybe they should put
Kunzel ketchup.
Holyrood on it.
That's it.
You know how the Still
Aye.
Game Boys have got the whiskey? You guys could have brown sauce.
Brown sauce.
Some-
Like, they're doing pretty well. They've got their own brand of brown sauce. now. Fair play to the boys.
But we'd have to
some
make
sort.
it a nice flavour for you. You couldn't sell something that you don't believe in, could you?
I
James?
take all this back.
Yeah, it'd just be a completely different sauce.
Until now, I had never liked brown sauce, but
Yeah.
since we've introduced the Some Laugh salt and sauce,
My mind has been changed.
yeah. The salt and vinegar is like It's weird because that's I would say that's UK wide. You would think, yeah.
Is it?
Salt and vinegar.
Aye. Worldwide, surely.
Well, I don't know how.
I don't know.
Potato
Favour on the
chips, salt and
chippies,
vinegar potato chips.
That's true. But
In
now
America.
you don't get all the crisps are fancy now. You get sea
Yeah.
salt and Chardonnay
Cracked
vinegar.
pepper,
Like
yeah.
you can't just
That's it.
you can't get normal eating. You
No.
go in a restaurant and they ask you, "Have you eaten here before?" And you have to like go through this whole thing.
I mean,
Rigmarole.
literally that only happens in Nando's, but okay.
No, it doesn't. Let me take you through the menu. These are small plates. These are medium. But just like, is it dinner?
give me
Can
a
I have
normal
dinner?
plate.
Just give me a plate of dinner.
Normal sized plate.
I'm sure that's somebody else's bit.
You say that though, right? But have you ever been? Because I went last year. I went to a couple of fancy restaurants to the point where I literally was like, "Oh, I never realised I've never actually been to a fancy restaurant before." And I'm like, look, you know what I mean? And like, you get the taster menus and all these type of things.
yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
level of fine dining that you're not accustomed to, and in that environment, I would welcome a wee bit of
A bit of guidance would help.
instruction.
Those tiny little things. They bring
That-
you like 7 of them in a row,
Aye.
like tiny portions.
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of carry on. I can't be doing with that either.
What about the wee? Do you ever get the wee things to dip your finger in?
Love that.
The wee tray.
Reminds me of mass.
Yeah.
The priest used to clean his fingers
Oh,
you
did
know,
he?
after he's touched
So
them.
Would that be holy water?
Yeah, I think so.
When you go in, you
And then
it's
that,
holy
yeah, when
water,
you go in.
door, you genuflect, and that's not genuflecting, but
Were you brought up Catholic?
sign of the cross. I was brought up Catholic, yes.
It's a source of great patter, I think.
Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess so. I don't know. Like, I mean, there's certainly a lot of comics that are fair Catholic background.
Yeah, it's true. But also, they changed a few years ago. They changed the script in mass. They changed the wording. I don't know if you've been.
Well,
since.
I used to be an altar boy, right? So
Yeah.
see, whenever I go back, I always notice because it's pure drilled into my
You do
head.
the old version.
The old Mario, our bishop, he's been dead for about 20 years, and all that probably.
Also with you, is that?
Also with you and
But
with
no,
your
they
spirit.
They change that sort of shit about sometimes, and like when the bell rings and all this kind of shit.
Yeah,
Sometimes they
Keeps
as
you
they
on
do.
edge because it means they can point out who's not been at mass for a while. So you go to a funeral, you say the wrong thing, and they go, lapsed,
I know.
caught.
But do you know what? Do you know what is sort of sad? I always think because did you get raised Catholic?
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what I think it's sad? Because now I go back and you do laps and you go, it's a lot of shite. But you go back sometimes, and sometimes if you've been into like, you read some books about fucking spirituality or all this kind of shit, and you go, well, maybe there is some sort of spiritual message you can take away for this.
Right.
And see, anytime I go, I'm always like, nah, it's fuck all. It's just they're just literally just fucking phoning it in, reading out some bullshit about Galilee or whatever the fuck. And there's no.
It seems
They're
so
not trying
distant,
to-
doesn't it? It's
yeah.
like from anything.
You would think maybe let's try and connect, but these guys are phoning it in, man. They don't give a fuck.
Across
like-
the board.
I got into this to fuck kids.
Jesus
Get rid of
Christ.
these stories.
Jesus.
There's the clip. There's the main clip from the episode.
Did I tell you? Did I tell you about like so when my mum passed away, we had obviously had the funeral at the local chapel, but the guy who was there at the time, right, he wouldn't let us do anything, but he said there's only hymns allowed, which is bullshit. Because surely at weddings and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure they've had.
Yeah, people have like string
Normal songs.
quartets and different things.
But what was hard to take about this was that this guy, right, when he got put in our parish, had got moved from a previous one because he'd got into trouble for basically invited a priest over at the chapel house and touched him up. So then the guy goes away, he phoned him up and goes, listen, sorry for touching you up, come over for dinner tomorrow night.
Listen, sorry for touching you.
That's
yeah.
basically what happened. He comes over again and he fucking does it again.
No.
So there's this big scandal and it was in the paper. So when he moved to our parish, it was in the paper and all this stuff, like local residents are appalled.
So it's like we know why you're here. Don't have a go as about hymns.
This is it. So I'm on the phone to him and he's telling me it's not becoming to like have this in the chapel grounds. I'm like, all right, but fucking filling people up is. You know what I mean? The only cunt that would object to playing Michael Jackson, not in the grounds of his actions, but just for the music alone.
Do you remember the angry priest, the priest that was shouting at the women on like the Twitter video? You're an evil woman. And all this. She was late for mass. I don't know. It went kind of viral
really?
a couple of years ago. And then it turns out that he did my auntie's funeral.
Oh,
Really?
And we didn't realise till afterwards. And I was like, he's a bit off, isn't it? I had to speak at the funeral and he was like pushing me and telling me where it goes down there. And then later on I saw a video of this viral video of this priest going off at this woman outside the chapel. He calling her evil and how she was going to hell and all this because she was late for mass.
Oh.
And I was like, I know that face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
think
that's
these
nuts.
guys, if they're maybe men of the cloth or whatever,
know.
like you'd think they would have some level of sort of zen
Empathy.
or empathy or at least at the very least, if they can't, if people don't believe in it anymore, at least offer a level of comfort or something. But when they're like
Yeah.
actively making it difficult,
Or at
you're
least
like,
pretend.
This is it.
I think you've got a duty to at least pretend to be
Aye.
like a chill guy.
Totally, but I think it's just your luck because like when you get married, as we were just talking about off air, because like you're the priest was good, wasn't he? He was a cool guy.
He was. We got married in the Catholic Church. He was a young guy. He was
Younger than us.
Maybe 25
Really?
or something like that.
Does he have good a good vibe?
Yeah, he was
I
like
liked him.
quite funny, and it was cool with me not being Catholic. That was a big thing.
I'm sure he had to get that by his bosses because I don't think they're actually cool with you not being
Well,
Catholic.
it was.
You had to swear an oath.
Yeah, it was like
that's
basically
good,
you
isn't
had to sign a form, and it was like if you have a kid, they're going to be Catholic. You have to sign your kids away, basically.
Sign your kids away.
And then
You're like, happy to do that. It's a beautiful building.
Yes,
But he was a cool guy, and he was.
and
like,
what are they going to do when you just go back on it? Nothing.
Well,
You're
You go to hell.
annulling the marriage.
Come on.
eternal damnation.
Yeah, exactly.
That was. I always think that was like olden days version of suicide prevention, right? Because you're going like, right, if you die, you go to heaven, and it's amazing with God. And I was like, fuck, I'm just going to die the now. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. The one thing that you can't do.
You're not allowed to.
Yeah.
You'll go to hell if you kill yourself.
Yeah. Taking
so
a life.
So people, they didn't need to have, back in the days when it was the actual Samaritans, they didn't need the Samaritans helpline. Because the real Samaritans believed if you kill yourself, you go to hell, so they didn't need to jump up. They wouldn't even think of jumping off a bridge.
Chiefly, they didn't have phones either.
Or bridges.
There's a number of reasons why.
But do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that
totally,
was,
yeah.
But whereas now everyone...
Well, there's not really a moralistic standpoint to killing yourself or not killing yourself.
Yeah.
It's just a choice of I can't take this
Although I
anymore.
believe it is illegal.
Pretty
Which
tough.
is hard
It's technically illegal, yeah.
Which is hard to enforce.
Yeah, the courts are just
Yeah.
full of backed up cases. You know, at some point we've got to get this guy in here.
Can you get done for attempted suicide?
I don't think they would actually arrest you
Imagine.
for it, but
Imagine.
You'd
Like,
be
I know you're
fucking
really
rude.
depressed. We're going to now put you in jail.
I think
Don't
it's,
you fucking try and do that again.
Told you.
Better not re-offend.
That's great.
but I think it's maybe a bit like, possession of, say, weed is illegal.
Right,
technically,
but no one's
it's
actually
not really.
chasing
no one's
you.
going to
No, but you can get people do get done for it. I
if
mean,
it's just a wee
read the Clydebank Post. A man in his 40s was caught with cannabis resin and all this
Aye,
stuff.
but you know what that is? They know who that guy is already, and they're after him for a bunch of other stuff.
Aye.
Yeah,
It's not like
it's not just that we.
If you were walking about
It's
the
like
street.
Al Capone getting done for tax evasion.
Right, exactly. I think I recognise his face. Let's bring him in for that.
I think
Have a chat.
I think that guy murdered a few people, but let's get him for
Get him
his,
for the cannabis.
a wee
Got him
half
the-
ounce he's got in his pocket.
got in the weed charge.
Right, exactly.
Would it have been tough to kill yourself back then? Just going back to that. Sorry, I don't want to get away from that topic.
No,
that hot-
let's not.
That hot topic.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, before there was bridges and whatnot, how would you actually?
How would you kill
How
yourself?
would you have done it?
Jesus tried when he
stand
walked
behind
into the
a
sea,
meal.
but it turns out he could walk on the water.
I know, gutted.
Aye.
I don't want to go that crucifix.
What the hell is this? Walking. Oh, come on.
For fuck's sake.
I don't know what you would do.
Oh, loads of way. I mean, you would
Stand.
die just by fucking, I don't know, going outside for too long.
Yeah, you
Aye,
could
but
just
that's
eat.
not suicide.
You could eat one dodgy berry.
Aye, but you need to find a wee mushroom that
Well,
looks.
Judas famously hung himself.
Did it?
Well, you could hang yourself. Yeah,
on a
that's
tree
true.
After he
betrayed Jesus, yeah.
Jesus.
I thought you were a Catholic. Some Catholic. You signed the form, man.
And that's how the same fate will befall you if you don't follow the. But no, that's aye. No, I mean they had a rope and all that shit. You know,
Before there was
strangle
ropes,
link.
when was ropes invented?
Yeah,
Oh.
that was post rope. I don't know.
Before ropes, it's not a lot of ways to kill yourself. Before we had the means to make ropes.
No, I mean there'd be cliffs and stuff still.
Aye, that's gone out your way though.
How would you write?
Yeah, you want it to be convenient for fuck's sake.
Maybe stand
Right.
behind a horse.
Obviously, we are a men's mental health.
Hope it kicks you in the head.
We are a men's mental health podcast, and we don't in any way want to
No,
encourage suicide.
of course not. I'm just
100%.
But if you had to kill
interested
yourself,
in the history. I'm
No,
interested
it's-
in the history
Yeah,
of it.
it's more human history, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interest. It's an interest point.
Exactly. We could talk about this for hours, I'm sure.
There must have always been people who wanted to do that. But
Yeah.
you don't hear a lot about it.
Because it was way worse back then, I would say.
what do you mean?
Life was just worse.
Life
Yeah, but
was
do
worse.
you think? I think that the mental health thing is only become more prevalent now because we have our basic needs met, and we're able to kind of
In
Yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy, we've
Right.
got the basic needs met,
That's it.
but the self-actualization.
That's the top of the pyramid.
But we don't really. That's what we struggle with probably now more than what they did.
And you're not thinking about that if you're being chased by a tiger, or as the old kind of stuff
Yeah.
goes.
No,
Not to say that mental health's like a new thing. It's just new.
But it's like a lot of things. It's like a sort of luxury that's afforded a lot of times to, like, you know, people that are living a cushy middle class lifestyle. If you're living, you know, paycheck to paycheck or hand to mouth, you've not really got. You might have, obviously, a lot of people do have fucking mental health issues, but you've not got enough time to even think about, like, I don't know, even finding or paying for a therapist because you don't get the money. You know, you get kids to feed, you get this and that and the other. Like, so it's a sort of luxury it's afforded to, you know, a lot of people that have got the time to, you know what I mean, like, to explore that type of thing. But who the fuck's got the time? Do you know what I mean? Or the money or whatever. Like, so.
And then do you want to dig? Sometimes I wonder about that. I'm like, go to more therapy, and I'm like, how much digging? What are you going to find?
Have you
can't
had
be
a lot of
arsed talking
experience
about
with therapy?
I've had lots of therapy.
Really?
Yeah, can you tell?
You seem
Suzanne.
very,
It's a great act.
very well.
How
Yeah.
do you? Because I've never actually done it. How do you find it?
Um,
And have you been to different ones?
And
Lots
I've
of
never
different
done it
ones,
either,
yeah.
but I would consider it. I've done CBT. That's not quite the same?
no, I
Cock and
do.
ball torture.
Yeah. Do it every night. It's the only thing keeping me going
Turns out
in
he's talking
life.
about CBD.
Talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of fucking desires.
I've been at a few different therapists and like different types of things. Psychodynamic therapy, which is like talking about your past and lots of talking and lots of space. One of those ones where they go,
How does that make you feel?
you know, they just sit
Or they just sit?
and you go, oh, and you start coming up with stuff because we improvise, don't we? So I had to, I'll say stuff.
You want to fill this out? I'm
Say
losing them.
something.
I'm losing the room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get them back. And then different ones where they have you like filling out stuff like work. CBT is more like sheets that you write stuff on and
Boring.
And
homework.
Yeah, that put me off it, to
That's
be
what's
honest.
homework. Fuck.
I was like, I would rather be sad than do homework.
I'll take the depression, please. Yeah.
How conscious were you when you were going to different therapists, like that they were doing a different style of it?
Only later on, like more recently, I think.
Aye,
I mean, I had some therapy when I was a kid.
right.
I didn't really know what that was, but
Right.
I knew that I felt better after it, I think.
Uh-huh.
And then as time went on, one of the women I had was she was a hypnopsychotherapist, and she used to take me into like kind of more like a guided meditation.
Right.
But she said to me, "What did you have for your breakfast?" I ran in late to her office one morning. "What did you have for your breakfast?" I said, "I had a cream egg and a Lucozade." And she went, "Now, as a therapist, I'm not supposed to give advice," she said, "but I have to urge you, please don't start your day with a cream egg and a Lucozade."
How do you eat yours? I like to put a wee bit of Lucas in it.
A wee shot of Lucozade out of it, yeah.
Fucking cream egg.
But honestly, it's one of the
It's a
only bits of
Jaeger bomb
advice.
dropping that.
Yeah, not many therapists have given me direct advice except that. She was like,
The
"Don't."
main advice you got from therapy is don't eat a Lucas in a cream egg in the morning.
Never forgotten it.
Dietary
Dietary
advice.
advice,
I mean,
yeah.
it's.
I mean, that was 15 years ago. And it's been a while since I had a Lucozade and a cream egg for breakfast.
And was that because it was? Would that affect your mental health? Would that make you go a bit like?
Well, no, but just
hyper?
like I was there, I was late, I was obviously not, giving myself enough time to look after myself. It's about self-care, isn't it? So she
It's
was
a
like,
fucking mental combo. I'm not gonna lie.
it is a lot, innit? I used to buy like multi-packs of Lucozade, keep them in the fridge.
What would you eat first? Would you go to the Lucozade first and then? Because I would think like drinking the Lucozade would ruin the cream egg.
It's too
But
too
then the
much sugar.
cream egg wouldn't be. I don't think Lucozade would sort of wash it away.
No,
Wash it
that's
down.
just it's a clagginess, I think, that you're dealing with. I mean, I think I'd probably have gone for the Lucozade first because I used to drink heavily. So when I woke up in the morning, I would always be really dry and a bit hungover.
Right.
So I'd probably tan the Lucozade standing at the fridge
See.
and then
Right.
grab the cream egg, get in the car and drive to the therapy.
Wow.
It's a good life.
So
you
what?
know.
So I thought you were a kid when you were doing this. Were you a man when you were doing?
Oh no, a married man.
right. I thought you were like.
No, that wasn't the kid one.
Oh right, shit.
No, although I did used to bring donuts to the kid therapy
But that's fair.
because you want to please, don't you? I was a people pleaser.
Yeah. So
You would bring the therapist the donut.
Yeah.
They must have seen that. They must have fucking seen that coming a mile away.
They get
I
it
know
all the
what this
time.
guy's up to.
Yeah, he's trying to smooth over the cracks here. You can bring me as many donuts as you want, but we're going to dig into your past.
It's like that scene in Adolescence in the room if you're trying to psychologically fuck with them.
Yeah,
Flinging
the
a chair in on it.
It was very like that. We did do 14 takes.
Aye.
I didn't think we were going to talk about therapy, but here, you never know.
I mean,
we don't usually delve into it, but it's interesting if you're all right with talking about it.
I think probably more people than we realise have therapy or get some sort of support for their mental health or whatever's going on.
It's important to talk about.
Yeah.
Because do you know one thing I'm curious about a wee bit is when people say like, oh, do the work or I'm doing the work, they often say that about therapy. What does that look like exactly? What does it mean?
Well, if your therapist says to you, every time that thought comes in, I'd like you to challenge it by thinking this or labelling it that, for example, that's like maybe an exercise that you would be then trying. So you're for the next week until you see them again, every time that type of thought comes in, this is one example.
Right.
You might be going, your work is to try and go, like, challenge it, spin it round or whatever, reframe it. Mm-hmm. That's you doing the work because you're going through your day and you're being conscious of like what's flying through your mind rather than just going, like Lucozade, cream egg, smash it down, run. You know what I mean?
Spiraling.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, right, because I got a physio for my shoulder now, right, and see if I've not been doing the exercises they've been telling me today, they can tell.
Do the
'cause
work.
I've not done the work. But surely you could just go in and lie. Oh, I know.
Yeah, but you get what you put in. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, true.
Because they don't have answers, really. But they can help you be guided to the answers.
Yeah,
Or steer you away for the wrong ones.
Right. Don't drink Lucozade in the morning. Things like that. Aye, doing the work,
are inside you.
Basically,
all along.
aye.
It's beautiful. That's quite beautiful.
But I think we're bombarded with so much crap now that I think it's really your vision gets blurred.
It does.
Yeah.
With like endless amounts of information flung at you all through the day, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not built for that.
No, I know. It's especially with the phones and social media and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, like, see, even if you like follow some like mental health thing on Instagram, I think like trying to improve your mental health on social media would be like trying to quit gambling in the middle of a casino.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's just too much. Even if it's like don't gamble, you're like, I know, but all these slot
I'm
machines
here.
are fucking here. You know what I mean? It's like it's hard. I think you just
Yeah.
need to.
And he's like and subscribe to my channel.
Aye.
Become part of my community. And it's like, that's another thing. It's more stuff.
I know.
It's not less.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's tough, but do like and subscribe to our channel.
Please give us a 5-star review
Always important.
Of course.
because that helps my mental health if we get good numbers.
Yes.
Absolutely. You'd be in the dumps if it fails.
Yeah.
It's going well, though. Great to see it
Been
going
good.
well.
Well, it's been a while since you've been on. We were saying it's maybe
Yeah.
been nearly 2 years, is
It's
it?
been about 2 years, aye.
Crazy. Well, you actually had a bit of a premonition about this today, didn't you?
I did. I was just telling Mark there before you got here that I had a dream last night about you guys.
Oh. Okay.
And we were getting ready to do the show, and it was inside your house.
Wow.
And it didn't look like it does, but I have been in your house one time, so
Yeah.
I knew that we were sort of in your house in all different rooms, and we were preparing to do the show. And I don't know if you had a couple of drinks or something, Steve. You were kind of loosey goosey.
Stephen Buchanan.
Aye.
Okay,
And then
okay.
this guy came. I don't know who he was, but he had this needle full of brown liquid. He sort of tapped it and he went,
Brown sauce.
"What? HP?
Daddies.
Who's your daddy?" He says, "Right, I'm going to give you this. This is a party." And you went, "Right, okay." Now, so you weren't spiked, but he was keen to inject you with this carry-on.
Right.
So he put
You're
it in
down
your
to
arm.
peer pressure, which is actually accurate. That is what would
That,
happen.
to be fair,
that what would happen?
I'm a people pleaser.
There you go. So there you go. Bang in there, and then 5 minutes later, you were completely like off it. You were wandering about, talking shit, you were chewing your jaw and all that.
Right.
And we put you in a sort of hospital bed. We were like, right, shush. But we
This
have
would
to.
be the best episode ever.
And I thought that you guys were going to have him come in and do the podcast, and I was like, this is going to be a nightmare. Probably selfishly, I'm like, I'm supposed to be on the episode. He's going to take over. So
It's like this weird annoying beep. It's going to really annoy the audience.
yeah, in his bed. So we got Martin Quinn to replace you.
Oh yeah.
And then he came and did the job. And I was wandering about trying to. I was going around your house, like going into different rooms and
Yeah.
checking stuff. I can't remember what was happening. And then we were evacuated. There was someone set the place on fire.
Wow. God, that's my nightmare.
I have scary dreams every day.
Don't you find with a dream? And I want to come back to that Martin Quinn thing in a minute, but don't you? My hang in a dream is always I'm trying to get somewhere,
Exactly.
and you can never
can't
get
get
there, or you try to find something you can never. That's literally, and I wonder whether if that's a universal experience for everybody, or whether it's like people with a certain disposition have that, and other people have different dreams.
It means something. I'm sure that it means like I don't know. You're anxious about.
Yeah, like something's unfulfilled
that-
or something's
Yeah.
incomplete.
I'd love to know the Freudian take on what you were thinking about Steve, though.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely dream about stuff that's coming up. I was aware I was coming here today, so I think it's just that plus a mix of my own insecurities.
Yeah, but the irony is, can we talk about this? How accurate Brian's premonition was in terms of what's actually already happened?
Well, that's kind of. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, let's be vague as much as we can about it. But basically, there was a scenario pretty recently where Steve was replaced by Martin Quinn in a thing when it was meant to be him.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I didn't know that, but it's happening to me all the time. Like as an actor, you're up against all your mates for the same part. Yesterday, I texted a mate and I was like, I just found out I didn't get such and such, and I was like, if I can't have it, he should have it, and he was actually more suited to it.
Did he get it?
No.
Oh.
He went. But
Were you a bit happy about that? And honestly,
I don't think I was. I honestly think he would have been better at it, but I really could use a job. But then he was like, I didn't get it, but such and such was up for it as well, and I think he's our best shot if it's neither of us.
right?
As if we need him, we need someone we know to get it. Doesn't make any difference, but
No.
I would want one of my mates to get it, you know?
Yeah.
I know you do. At least it's like, somebody and feeling it's like on your team or that you're rooting
Well,
for a wee
the
bit.
worst is you
Yeah.
then go and see it and they've picked someone terrible and you're like, fuck, I could have done that.
Yeah.
That's the worst one. At least if it's someone you respect and you think
Yeah.
are good.
Is that the peril of the acting community? The peril is in with an eye, not in.
Yes, got you.
Not
yeah.
like a little
Is
nice
it the
shiny
because
penny.
that's the old joke about actors is like how many actors it take to screw in a light bulb, one bit 99 to go, I could have done that.
You're right, exactly.
And
yeah.
is that the thing that when you watch another thing you're always looking at what you could have done?
Of course. It's obsessive. And especially if you knew about it. What happens a lot in theatre is you end up doing the development work on a play. So you might be hired for a week to like read a draft and work on little bits until the writer finds what needs
Some
to
cunt
happen
for
next.
Fucking EastEnders to come in and do it.
Exactly, that kind of thing. Some come from River City, but
Do you know what I seen in Glasgow today? It was in the I shouldn't dox him, but it was the guy what's that guy? He was in 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps.
Ralph Little.
Ralph Little.
No, the other cunt.
Oh, the guy.
Will Mellor.
Yes.
Oh,
He
good.
was in
Well,
Glasgow
remember.
today.
There you go.
They two are doing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but they're doing the Stand on Tuesday. They're doing a TV show where they do different things, and they're doing their first 10-minute spot.
What, Ralph Little as well?
Aye.
Oh,
And
cool.
I'm on, so they're filming it.
Oh, right.
Well, it happened by the time this goes out. Doesn't matter.
Aye, well they've filmed it,
Might
but I
not be
think
on
the
telly.
TV show wouldn't be out by that point.
Right.
But I think you can say that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's why he was in Glasgow. He was in Glasgow a week before it, basically.
aye, unless they're doing stuff,
Other stuff.
because I think they're going around the country doing different
Oh,
things.
right.
So maybe they're
I
doing.
know. I was surprising to see him. I was like,
Never seen him in real life.
no, well, I
Haven't
haven't.
even thought about him in years.
I know.
He was good on the Royal Family as well.
Aye.
No,
Ralph-
different guy.
Ralph Little.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the other guy, but he's not
Other guy.
the guy I'm thinking of.
Kirk from the or he was in Corrie, the other guy.
That guy played Darren on the Royal
Yeah,
Family. He
yeah,
was
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's interesting what you're saying about acting. I know because I wanted to ask you about you done a wee run doing a Shakespeare play.
Yes, yes.
Was that with David Tennant?
Yeah.
Was he? What was that like?
It was quite surreal at first.
Uh-huh.
Did
Did you know him? Because I know you'd had him on your podcast.
I had him
before
on
as well.
while we were working
Oh, while
together,
you
so I
were
didn't know him
together.
beforehand.
Right.
Although we know a lot of the same people because he kind of came up in the same way as a lot of us, like doing Scottish theatre, and we had a lot of the same references. But he's just had astronomical success.
Yeah.
But yeah, at first it was kind of like I was looking forward to it mainly just to watch him work and to observe what he did because he's just amazing to me. And a lot of the time we spent just like not scared, but just very aware that you're working with someone who's really, really at the top of their game.
Yeah.
And you do start to question yourself, like I would be in a scene with him and I'd have 3 lines and I'd be like, do I remember those lines? And I'll be in the script, and he's completely off book right from day one. He knows the whole play.
Yeah.
And I'm like freaking out and all that. But you settle in, you know.
It's funny that way. Like I always think around famous folk, it's the same when it's like you're around somebody you fancy. You start like consciously thinking about all the stuff you usually do automatically, like when the traffic police are behind you or whatever. And then you just forget how to do the thing. You're like,
how do you stand? Is it? How do you?
I always remember one time I was walking to the cash machine, and just in my head I just went, "What is my pin again?" I completely forgot it because you're just that used to doing it with the thing. Like you're not even thinking about it.
That's muscle memory, isn't it?
But I think that's what happens with that type of thing. Because I remember like when you're on stage and like there's a famous comic in or somebody important, and suddenly you go like that, and you totally second guess yourself on stage. It's crazy, but but like you say, when you work with somebody like that, it is intimidating as well. What did you learn for his process then?
I think.
Just being up, well, he said he was off book straight away.
He was off book straight away, which I'm not sure is appropriate for every show. It depends on the person as well. But for a big Shakespearean part, I think you'd want to be close to off before you start because it's huge.
Because even doing Shakespeare alone must be quite intimidating because of the gravitas of it and all.
Yeah, and a big production that definitely obviously had its sights set on transferring into the West End. It was going to end up in the cinema. Like we knew that they were trying to make it big.
Yeah.
So you're aware that you're in something that people have put a lot of money and effort into, and they're hoping it's going to be big.
Totally.
You don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah. No, exactly.
But be off book, I think, and Macbeth.
Right.
The Scottish play.
Scottish play, as we say in theatre. Yeah. And then I guess like,
who were you in it?
I was the murderer.
Oh.
You know my violent tendencies.
Sure.
I got a lot of henchman work, you know.
This guy needs to go to therapy.
It's only since then. I don't know. I mean, I think he takes the work seriously, but doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
So that's nice. You know, like in between scenes, he's like just very normal, and then once we start, he's just really focused and it's fresh every time. Like he arrives at the line freshly every time.
Right, is that because I've heard that's something that actors do? It's like you want to do it slightly differently every time.
Even if it's not slightly different, if it still feels as if you're saying it for the first time or you're experiencing the moment for the first time.
Yeah.
It might sound the same. It might use the same cadence.
Yeah.
But there's something about trying to really. It's about listening, hearing the person speak before you speak, and actually hearing what they're saying and processing it and replying to it rather than going blah 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 me.
But that must be particularly difficult to do when it's Shakespeare because the words are fucking gobbledygook most of the time.
But I tell you what Tennant does really well is he makes them sound not like that.
Right.
He does this kind of he can do this quite naturalistic thing where he sails across them and you know exactly what he's talking about.
Right.
Instead of like, oh, ho, 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 where you're just lost.
Mm.
He makes sense of them in a way. And I think that's the thing about being off book as well. He's like sat and really figure out what is it I'm saying and why am I saying it.
And so, what does he do that like non-verbally, like with his movement or the tone of how he's doing?
I think it's a lot of both of those things, and where you put the emphasis on the lines.
Yeah.
And if you follow what Shakespeare writes, you can leave a gap at the end of each line, even if it's not a full stop, because it's written in verse, right?
Yeah. Iambic pentameter. I don't know if it's that, but
that's correct. Yeah. And if he does this thing where he leaves a little breath at the end of each line, doesn't run them together, and you find really specific meaning by doing that.
Yeah.
It's all in there. Like it's all built for you. But you have to like pay attention to it.
But how would you go about like interpreting Shakespeare if it's like would you watch other people that have done it, or is there like certain things that breaks down if you're not sure what the meaning of a word is that or whatever?
My thing is like have the copies of the cheat books,
right?
And don't be ashamed of them.
Yeah.
So you can get these things called No Fear Shakespeare, and it's when you open the book, on one side is the original text, and the other side is a sort of a modern translation,
right,
line by line, and breakdowns of words that aren't in use anymore, or in this context, this word would have actually meant not what you think.
Yeah.
And then when you if you don't understand what you're saying, there's no point in saying it.
Yeah.
So if you could recite it, but it's meaningless and really boring to watch. But if you actually take the time to understand it, then you can make sense of it. And also the verse makes it easier to learn because it is laid out. 10 little or 5 beats per line, and it can help you learn it and understand it as well.
And do you think with all of that and the nature of Shakespeare generally and stuff, would you say that's the most challenging things in an actor, or is there different things that are as challenging or more challenging?
I think being truthful is the challenge,
Right.
regardless of what it is. I find the same thing doing Janice.
Right.
It's like, how would this person actually react to this?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
like what's the funniest thing or what's the most poetic way of saying it. It's more like what is the reality of this moment,
Yeah.
even if it is an absurd situation.
Because if it's not true to the character,
No point doing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you see lots of stuff where it's like it's a gag, but it doesn't. There's no truth,
Mhm.
and we can maybe just go and appreciate it for a moment, but it doesn't have any depth.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly,
truth
yeah.
is the thing.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what you hone in on really well, in the accuracy, to the point where, to come to this,
Yes, I
you've
know what you're going to
obviously
say.
been getting tagged a few times recently, because and it's not the first thing, because I used to do this as well, but my sister's been posting some videos on TikTok of my gran,
Yeah,
and
she's amazing.
when I
Yeah.
initially seen you, I was like, that's so spot on, because your character Janice
Yeah,
sounds an awful lot like my gran.
and a lot of people say that about their own gran.
Yeah.
They say this is just my. How do you know it? How have you been watching us? Blah blah blah. But then when you actually see someone, I get tagged in other stuff as well, like
Yeah.
basically people's grans. Usually, how is this not a Brido Hingwy sketch? That woman is amazing. I love it. The thing I loved the most was the dancing, like that song that she got into, and she was. There were several
that got a
videos.
million hits. There was
No
this,
way.
Is that?
there's a song called Mother Mother, or maybe the band was called
She was
Mother
like this
Mother.
eating her sandwich.
Aye.
She went, listen to this. Strap yourself in. And it's like she's just discovered it. It's a whole new world for her. And then someone's come into the house and she's gone, wait, hear this.
I know. She had one the other day where it was my aunt, like, kind of, I don't know how, one of the wee kids that's in the family was in and listens to Baby Shark, so she showed me Baby Shark on Google, and then she starts she's like, and this is what the wee one was like, and dancing away and all that stuff. But she's got a funny way of speaking, my gran, but like it's uncannily accurate to
Sure.
like what you say, and I think that's what's so good about your characters, is you're so uncannily just spot on with that. And so like Janice, and then the one that's maybe my favourite now is your sort of self-help guy, David
Glenn, yeah, of course. Yeah. But people think he's real.
Aye.
Like, a lot of the time. I don't think we talked about this before, but that Willy Wonka experience thing.
Yeah.
I did a David Glenn video where I was defending the guy who came
Who
up with the
ran
Willy.
it.
Yeah, and he was like under fire on social media and everyone was hating on him.
Can you give us a bit for the listeners that might not have heard it? Can you?
It was like, guys, David Glenn here. Thanks very much for tuning in. Just want to say a wee bit about this controversy surrounding the Willy Wonka experience. The guy is trying to further himself. He's trying to better himself. And what he's giving the kids is a glimpse into imagination, as a Leslie Bricusse song rightly pointed to. And he's asking the kids to show up and use their imagination. So, guys, what he's doing is, in fact, challenging you to be the centre of your own experience. And yes, it may have been sparsely decorated, but that was the point, guys. And I've actually coached this guy before. So I had this whole thing. I mean, that's not word for word, but I had this whole thing where David had actually brought him up, and he'd been part of the David Glenn method, which is this fake kind of training program. And honestly, the TikToks comments were amazing. People were like, how dare you defend it? People's money was taken. This guy's a clown. And they were like, and they were quoting me, oh, use your imagination, get a life, you prick. And I'm just watching it unfold. You know what it's like when it goes mad and you just sit and watch it.
It's funny, and what's funny about it as well is like, because they are helping your algorithm basically by posting
Every
it.
comment.
And then you've just, you've caught people hook, line and sinker. Which the thing is though, like, I guess for you, like the point isn't to trick people. The point's to like make them laugh because of this funny thing. But the fact that so many folk just treat everything they see on social media at face value.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? And then the fun thing is that I didn't jump to anyone's defence or say anything.
Aye.
But I watched people in the comments go, it's a joke. And they go, or people go, this better be a joke because, by the way, they're like angry. I'll fucking burst you and all that. I'm like, what is going on? But your gran, like, there's something about the seriousness of the way people talk
Yeah.
that I've sort of looked at a lot. And like she said, that thing about macaroni was amazing.
Aye.
Go and look in that cupboard there. And you're like, what's this going to be? And it's about tinned pasta. Go and look in that cupboard there. see if there's any ravioli. And she said, they bought me, now, I don't know what's wrong with that man. She's annoyed, your dad. He bought me a tin of macaroni. Now, I don't know what's wrong with that man. I don't have tins of macaroni.
I do not eat macaroni tins.
I do not eat macaroni tins. And then I take Macintosh's macaroni, which, as we know, is a microwave meal. But the seriousness of it,
I know.
I just love. And the kind of, that's something about west of Scotland patter, I think, where it's like, this is a really serious point.
It's a full generation of like the same, that like women like that, like
Definitely.
all our grans and mums and stuff kind of speak like that. I wonder what is it that about that?
I've also, my gran's got a weird accent because she speaks a lot more properly than she's for fucking. She grew up in Damure. Like she shouldn't speak that posh.
But that does happen as well.
But I think it was like just back then everything was a bit more prim and proper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had their
Generally.
phone voice as well. A lot of these, I mean, I can't speak for your gran, but like my gran worked in telephony, so they would be what they called a hello girl. So hello, and they would put the pins in the board, to redirect the calls.
Yeah.
So people like women, if they went out to work, were kind of, I think, up in their game and trying to be a bit more proper. And you ever hear a woman of that generation go on the phone, like, hello, I wonder if you can help me. Like, do that, I'm on the fucking phone. That's all part of the game, isn't it? Because your gran's, you get both in the video, don't you?
Aye.
She's like, listen to this. Strap your soul in. Do you know what I mean? It's gallus.
Yeah, I love when she's talking about aliens.
Because she's
great.
pure. She watches that TV channel called Blaze, and it's all just that mad debunked ancient alien stuff that's always on.
Ancient aliens,
and like, so it's just always like about how aliens built the pyramids and all this kind of shit. Right? And so she's like, but my gran's always been like this, like where she like can't differentiate like sort of dubious, like, because in these shows the way they get away with putting all this stuff out on the telly is they always go, some say. It's always like they have these wee caveats.
Some
but
say.
my gran's just no like clocking on to there's no evidence for this, really.
So this is truth.
This
It's on
is-
TV.
The
and people are
man
saying
on
it.
the television said it. He had letters after his name. That's like,
I love how she describes the aliens, and it's like, isn't it funny how they're always little grey men with big eyes? She was like, and they had big eyes, did they? Really? Wow.
Do you know what's interesting about like those clips of my gran doing well, right? Because obviously we go down and actually sit with her for an hour or whatever, and you're like, but then you're like, fucking getting too much, and you got the road. But in those wee short snippets, like out of context, it's quite funny. And I've sort of thought sometimes about Donald Trump. And those, see if we ever watch a Trump rally and you watch a whole speech of him, it's boring.
Yeah.
Because he's just an old guy waffling on and on. But you take one wee 15-second bit out of context and you're like, oh my God, listen to this man
It's
stuff.
mental, yeah.
And
Totally.
that's exactly the same as like going to visit your grandparents. Basically.
Yeah, because my mum, like, we chat away for hours, and then just very occasionally there'll be one little phrase that comes out, and I just burst out laughing, and I'll go, I'm having that. And she used to phone me up with ideas, and I would say, no, you can't. You have to just be yourself.
It's unconscious.
It's got to be unconscious,
exactly.
but the stuff she hits out with is amazing.
Yeah.
My dad, right, this is great. I'm going to do something about this at some point. My dad got a drone. He buys stuff off AliExpress or Geek.com or like cheap tech websites. So he got this drone that was like $12.99 or something. And the first day I went round to have a go at it, I'm flying the drone and it's going, I wonder how high we can get it. Oh, let's go over it. Whoa. And then the next thing, it's gone. It's out of range and it's crashed on the neighbour's roof. And he's like, oh, for fuck's... Right, okay, so it's gone. So we're trying to go across the road and we're looking, trying to see if we can see it. Couldn't see it. And then it starts raining. Forget it. So time goes by. A couple of weeks ago, he goes, I know what I want for my birthday. I know what you're getting me. I'm like, I could have sworn you were 66, but go on. He goes, I'm getting a drone. I said, are you right? Okay. So when we sat down for a curry for his birthday, he told me how much I owed him. And I'm literally counting cash out across the table. And I'm like, something's not right here. So he gets this drone. He ordered it himself, but he told us what we owed him for it. We were splitting it 3 ways, me, my mum and dad.
Right.
He just tells you and you're like, okay. So he gets this drone and it's a sort of better quality one. It's got the rotor things are inside the casing so that they can't get caught and stuff and whatever. And it's got an app attached to it and it films and it's got its camera on board. So the other day he phones me up, he goes, I've got to tell you something. I said, what is it? He said, I thought that I would use the new drone to look for the old drone. I got it up and I could see the neighbour's roof and then it went out of range and it landed itself on the neighbour's roof.
No.
Two drones.
Two drones. So then he's like, There's a guy from the bowling club has got a big ladder.
The guy from the bowling club is a beautiful.
And my dad is mad for the bowling club. I mean, it's true. He's completely obsessed. So he says he's coming along with this big ladder. And he says, I'm not happy going up that ladder. But if he is, that's fine. And my mum, when he was out getting the ladder and all that, then the rain starts. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So my mum said, I've told him, if he can't find that drone, I'm not buying another one. I was like he's 12. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing she used to say to me. If you can't find it, I'm not buying you another one. You know, sure enough, he got it, and then he's cleaning it, and he's got it going again. Believe it or not, couldn't find the first one, but he found the good one.
Mystery.
Yeah.
The other one is.
I mean, it might be further along.
Yeah.
I don't know, in the gully, but anyway.
That's great though. But that is like, there's a sort of mundanity to that, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, that's kind of part of the thing as well. Like the video I did the other day for Uncle Frank, he was eating a packet of crisps, and I was just dead happy with it. And I said to someone, I think this is my favourite one I've ever done. And I said, but I'll warn you, there's no jokes in it. So don't go along expecting. It's more like, if you laugh, you'll be laughing recognition, you know, of your dad or something. But he's just eating wheat crunchies, and he's just discovered them. And he's telling you about his garden, because I was telling you I've been doing my garden because I'm getting old, right?
Yeah.
And I thought I'll do a bit of Uncle Frank for that. But with every wheat crunchy, he kind of notices and reminds you again that he thinks they're great. So you go, thing is, I spoke to George next door. They really are good. and it's not a gag as much as it's just like, that's what your dad would do. But something about him playing with this prop, because I was like, what am I going to do for Frank? And I went, I'll eat them. Don't think about it too much.
Aye.
But what happens if you hit record and Uncle Frank's just eating crisps?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never tried it before, but it doesn't need to be fancy. I don't need any, don't need to start thinking about costumes. But I was like, one prop, see what we can do.
So is that sometimes how you write your stuff? You won't even have a premise in mind. You'll just have even a prop or.
I think usually there's a central line that probably my mum has said.
Yeah.
She said, I used it for a video recently. She said to my dad, I'm going to get all the cables in this house and I'm going to hang them in the washing line one morning before you get up. And when you get out of your bed, you have to come out here in your dressing gown. You have to pick which ones are staying and which ones are going.
Why? Like cable wires like tangled is such a parent's thing you hate.
Chargers and, because he buys stuff all the time. And there's chargers everywhere. And then she said, as he was walking away, he was like, for goodness sake, she went, I'm going to get Stacey Solomon in here. Sort your life out. Put all the cables in a warehouse and you can decide which ones you're keeping. And again, no editing required and no writing either. I was just like, I'll have that.
Yeah.
And I go, right, that's the central thing. What can we do? Do you know what I mean? How do we get there?
Yeah.
I'm going to get Stacey Solomon in to sort your life out. That's such, I bet you
there's
a million Scottish moths that say shit like that.
Exactly. Because that's the kind of telly show they would. I hadn't even heard of it, but I was like, right, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Some show, and she puts everything you own in a warehouse and you have to look through it all. Like lays it all out and you go, oh my God, we've got loads of stuff.
Even just is it called Sort Your Life Out? Is that?
I think it's called that. Sort Your Life Out with Stacey Solomon or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing that, of course, my mum watches.
Aye.
There was an episode the other night, and she'll tell you, like, wait, hear this. You've got to watch. Yeah, she said to me the other day, you've got to watch Murder 24/7. I said, is that just like a strapline for Glasgow? It's the name of the programme, and you make a joke, and it's just she doesn't. Goes, but she doesn't bother. She's not interested because she's telling you about the programme. No, Murder 24/7. She was telling me about it, and then she went, and a lot of it's in Glasgow. I'm like, oh, you're joking. That's brilliant.
I said one to my granny the other day actually because she was telling me about some fucking. Because I was in Northern Ireland the other week at the Giant's Causeway, and she said, "Oh, me and Frank," because actually my Gran's husband was called Frank as well, which is a weird,
brilliant,
makes it uncanny. So, me and Frank went there one time. I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, this is like one of the rare stories she's literally never told me. And she was telling me, she's like, oh, but we see, it was like they seen something in the Daily Record. It was this advert for some hotel. And then fucking they go there and it's like the taxi driver doesn't even know what it is. It's a shite place. He's like, we turned up and it was something like Dracula. So we're walking in and we're putting up our collars, and I said to look more like Dracula. She just nothing, just carries on.
I'm telling my story. Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I think of wee one-liners and I'm like, don't try and interject. They've got the material. Leave them alone.
But that's like that video as well that your sister put up, and she was saying like, oh, I could eat such and such.
Well, that's where
just didn't fucking.
That's where the macaroni thing came from. I think it was. I think I told the story on here, but it was like, it's like. There's this thing on TikTok. It's like a trend. It's like, oh, I'm so hungry I could eat Brido Hingwy or whatever.
That's right.
And
Someone
my
from
sister
your past.
was doing it with some woman that my gran knows, and so she's just keeps saying it to her. And she's just like
Doesn't
totally
pick up
ignoring.
on
She's like, with his biscuit, his Kit Kats in the kitchen.
Forget it. You know what I remembered last night, right? Did you ever be like upset and crying when you were a kid and someone said to you, probably your mom, like, you calm down, you're going to make yourself sick. Just came back to me last night. Never once was I sick from crying. Never once, not even close. But then you go, oh shit, I'm
going to make myself
this is
sick.
bad. I remember I swallowed Hubba Bubba once when I was 5 and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Because she said, you never.
7 years.
Oh,
it takes.
swallowing chewing gum was like my biggest fucking fear
Really
in
big.
life when I was a kid.
I remember sitting on the steps, like crying, going, what's going to happen? She was like, no, it's fine.
Yeah,
But just
be.
try not to do that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to die. Calm down, you'll make yourself sick. Never happened.
But it's the specificity
Yeah.
of it that's
Yeah.
the key into it, because that then weirdly makes it unique. Because like my dad's never flown a drone, but that exact story is like you can just picture it and you see it, and it's so relatable. Whatever the fuck the wee thing is, and
Yeah, it's whatever
there's
the
a
thing
guy
is.
at the bowling club got a big ladder. Is like just
Yeah.
all that stuff is so key. I think in
Yeah.
good comedy as well. Like just the specificity of any and maybe any
Specifics
storytelling.
are good, yeah. And the fact is, like, it doesn't matter if the fiction being stranger than the truth. Like the fact that 2 drones ended up on that roof, and the second one was there because he was looking for the first one.
Yeah.
And if you came up with that organically, someone would be like, "That's a bit on the nose, isn't it?"
Yeah.
But it happened,
Yeah.
so it's like, no, use that. It's great.
Absolutely. No, it's good fun.
Have you got any other? So you've done 3 plays with Janice and Frank.
Correct, yeah.
Have you got anything else coming up for that, or have you got any other ideas for live stuff?
Well, I'm doing a rerun of my second one at the Fringe this year, but I'm not. I always kind of rewrite them as well because things change. Like for example, the first one I did was Christmas, but it was during COVID, so I was like, what did I do? So I've just kind of de-COVIDified it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That one I did at Christmas there. The second one, the lockdown had kind of finished, but I think there will be stuff. There was a bit in the first one about Philip Schofield, like a completely innocuous comment about WeBuyAnyCar.com because Frank was trying to raise money to get Janice's sister Joyce over from Australia for Christmas. And he said, listen, I've got that motor out there sitting doing nothing. He said, and Philip Schofield's never off the telly saying he'll buy it off me, WeBuyAnyCar.com. And then, of course, the reaction this year was like, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm on the phone to Joyce in Australia. I said, so this year I changed it to, he's on the telly. He's never been off the telly. For years and years, he really is a mainstay, you know, of the television, that Philip Schofield. I can't think of any scenario in which he would not. So that you can do this kind of knowing thing. So I set it at the same time period, but I was like, now we know what we know, so what can we add?
That's funny.
And I'm about to do that with the second one because it's 3 years old and I want to do like a new version of it. But it's just, I mean, this morning I was genuinely thinking, I wonder, is there a way I could sit with your gran for a few days?
Absolutely. You can go to Sailor if you want.
just do a show of just verbatim.
I'd love to see you in character as Janice talking to her and see if she notices how close it is.
I think that's a boy, isn't it? I don't know. Sometimes people send me things that are just like direct translations of things that people have said. Like someone sent me a voicemail that they've kept on their phone for ages, and it was an old woman talking that had phoned the wrong number. And they just sent me it and said, can you do something with this? And I just did it word for word back to her as Janice. Hello Lorraine, it's Margaret. I'm not needing a haircut, but wait till I tell you, I went to the club on Thursday and guess who was there? Karen. Now you've just seen what she was wearing. And this is all a voicemail that she's left on an actual answer machine in the old, and they've transferred it from a tape to a wee MP3 and they've kept it forever and they don't know who she is.
That's great.
But she just bad-mouthing all her pals.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just have that word for word.
That's
Again,
so
you
funny.
don't, the writing's kind of done for you.
Aye.
So the answer to the question is, I don't know what I'm going to do next with the characters, but I think for me it's all geared toward live shows. Like doing it in front of an audience is just the key
That's
thing.
what it's all about.
Because would you ever, I know we were sort of speaking a wee bit about this off air about how, you know, the trials and tribulations of trying to get in, you know, on the telly or what have you, but like, would you ever like love to do a sort of like, or maybe like a wee kind of like mini sitcom or a sort of longer sketch or whatever where it's more like, almost like you're playing all the characters or stuff?
I think that's the thing that seems to be most appealing. I thought it sounded a bit mad, like me playing all the characters, but I'm now thinking about it. Because the other option that I came up with in the first place was to do more of a like an Alan Bennett Talking Heads thing where it's still just me and it's just a monologue, but it's just a beautifully shot monologue, you know, without a laugh track or anything.
Yeah.
Just a high end version of what I already do.
Yeah.
And then you get into that, like very quickly into that conversation about, right, but am I dressed as Janice? Like, or who's that? Is there a wig? And then you're into this whole thing, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Then I had an idea about doing a sitcom, but casting it with actors who were actually like the right age and the right look. So like scour the country and find someone to play Janice, like a 62-year-old woman.
And
And
then, you'd worry that she wouldn't get, you know, the nuances of what you do.
It's hard
or
to
maybe
get.
it's just
I'd be there behind the camera like a maniac. No, turn your head after the line. They'd be like, "Oh, he's a tyrant, terrible to work with." And then I wouldn't be in it, which would be pants because I want to be in it.
Well, exactly. You'd want to be in your own.
So the latest idea is maybe do a sitcom where I play everybody, but I don't know. I can't see MD grabbing it.
Well, I
like
guess
that.
but the one man show is a sort of version of basically doing that, where you
exactly,
can basically just make that happen.
Yeah, and there's no like pretense apart from when I switch from Janice to Frank, I take my glasses off.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
and then do you play the boy as well? They've got a boy.
Connor appears very occasionally, but in the third show, which is the cruise ship, Janice, Frank, Janice's sister Barbara Carmichael, David Glenn, they all appear in it.
Oh, big David Glenn.
And David Glenn ends up giving some sort of coaching to Barbara to improve her life. And Barbara and Janice have been estranged and they end up sort of making up a wee bit. And also Frank plays the accordion. So
That fucking Scottish White Lotus or something. Shite Lotus.
Shite Lotus. Yeah. But we all go like, what is it called? You win. So that was ambitious. I was like, I'll have them all in it. And Connor was only in the first one. He just did the sort of pre-show announcement. He was like, right, see you tonight, right? See, because the thing is, right? And he just did the whole announcement without finishing a sentence and told everybody how to behave in the theatre without ever saying anything.
Yeah.
But he's not really, it doesn't really figure as a character anymore.
And are you still coming up with characters or ideas for characters and stuff like that? Because obviously Janice and Frank have been very good to you over the last few years, and obviously David Glenn, etc. But are you still on the lookout for stuff, or do you think once you kind of find a few, you sort of just look for stuff for them?
No, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, David Glenn took 10 years to emerge. I did a thing about an American pyramid scheme guy, a 3-minute musical, and he was called Hank Dollar. About more than that, it was about 15 years ago, or more. They used to do this thing called a curtain raiser, which was like a tiny miniature play before the play.
Right. And
I got asked to do one, and you do it one day. And I wrote this 3-minute musical about Hank Dollar and about sign up to my program and all this stuff. And ever since then, I've been trying to figure out a way to do a motivational coach character.
Well, you've got the voice spot on for David Glenn, because there's something about those kind of grindset guys that are Scottish and they've got the clipped voice and all that sort of stuff.
But that's emerged since Hank Dollar, do you know what I mean? Because that was back when it was more like American.
I know. Now everybody's a grindset hustler.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got a whole new kind of wave of that.
100%.
But yeah, I think I'm definitely on the lookout for new ones.
Yeah.
And it's it's like, whose voice is this in? You know, and sometimes when people say stuff, I can go, that could be Janice or it could be Frank. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But it wouldn't be Barbara.
No.
So if you hear something that doesn't fit into any of those, then I suppose the question is, am I going to invent another mouth for it to come out of?
Totally.
And I don't know who the next one is.
Barbara like?
Barbara's, she's had a very hard life, Stephen. And she doesn't say anything. You know. She's based on my gran, who was very sort of, I suppose, passive aggressive, and thought that the world was really against her. He would say to her, "How are you?" "Well, I'm in terrible pain all the time, but I don't say anything, you know." And yeah, so I put her out and tried to suggest like what would she do. She's from Mulgai and she's got a bit of money since her husband died, but she's trying to like fill her life now that he's dead.
Yeah.
And I went down to the community centre and there was a board made of cork with various signs on it, activities that were available. and she just she's getting a push from somewhere to go and make a life for herself, but she's absolutely just offended by everything.
I like that sort of the inhale. That's,
Yes.
that's very specific.
I was in Bearsden the other week having lunch, and I overheard like two old girls probably no dissimilar to your character. Like you're like, this is just stereotypical Bearsden. Fucking
gold.
inject it in my veins. You're just like, I
Yeah.
can't believe the shit that hit. It's like what you would exactly imagine
Yeah.
they'd be saying. Do you know what I mean?
You don't need to write it. It's great.
Yeah.
That's what I think is the sad thing sometimes. Like when I'm out and about, and you get your headphones on or whatever. Sometimes you need to just like.
You need to people watch.
You need to people watching and
Definitely.
listen and hear wee tidbits, and it sparks something in you, done it?
You overhear stuff on trains and flights and stuff all the time.
My wife's mum has done a thing that actually I was like, oh, that is very Brido Hingwy, but she was like giving us a number for a plumber or something like that, and she was fishing it out, and she was like, we're like, oh, how do you know this guy? And she's like, well, he reversed into me, and and I seen the number on the van, and I wrote it down.
So not good with the driving, but good with the plumbing.
We're good with the plumbing, you know.
It's great.
So who would get reversed into and then go, you know what, I'll just take that number
It's
in case.
advertising.
In case
It's
know.
amazing.
It's an unusual marketing strategy. Is that part of the David Glenn method?
Deliberate road traffic accidents. Yeah. My mum said to me the other day, I am getting better with that electric car of your father's. She said because it's hybrid, self-charging hybrid. She goes, I can get to the bowling club and back completely on battery. And I said, well, you'll never need to buy petrol again because that's the only place he fucking goes. You know what I mean? She has to drop him there. Do you know what I mean? So really, that is the main thing.
Yeah.
Buy petrol once a year. But she's really getting into the electric car. She's loving it.
That's good. I've been in it. I was in a Tesla recently for the first time, but
Bad press these days.
No, it's not great, is it? I was in an electric Porsche a couple of weeks ago.
No.
Wow.
Now we're talking.
Unbelievable. Like
David
fully
Tennant.
electric. David Glenn, actually. Things are going pretty well. Cold water dip every morning, guys. There's so many of them.
I know and the thing is, the tropes are very clear in it. It's all the basically
all
all
there.
fucking copy Joe Rogan or whatever the fuck, but it's always like the cold water dip and all this, the infrared sauna and all this stuff.
The same. What I love, when I discovered that Joe Rogan was really short, changed my whole perspective on the world.
Really?
Yeah, because like, he's on the show, he looks like this big guy. And see when you see him standing next to someone, and he looks like your uncle's mate that would reverse into you. And it changes. You go, oh, it sort of takes the sting out of him.
Yeah.
I go, oh, he's a wee guy with some mad ideas. Fuck him. If someone's tall, I'm like, oh, should listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's but no, it's funny that there's these kind of tropes and all that, and I think like finding it, and that like obviously like, as I say, like David Glenn's a very Scottish version of that, and like
Yeah.
but I think it's good when they come along sometimes, because sometimes you just hit on something. And that's what I was actually curious about was like, do you find sometimes it's just a wee turn of phrase, or do you find this sort of maybe essential flaw in the character, like you're saying about her, she never says anything and always complaining kind of thing? Is that, what do you think is the key to sort of nailing the character, or does it just develop organically?
I think that they're different for each character. So like Janice is a catch-all Scottish mum.
Aye.
So you can put a lot of different stuff
Yeah.
in her mouth and ask for her perspective on it. And because I've been doing it for a while, like it's you can just feed that character stuff and see what comes out. It's like already built as a machine or something. And Frank's the same. It's like, what would he make of this? And you can throw him anything. What would he make of a Tesla? What would he make of an electric Porsche? Bowling? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But somebody like Barbara, she's got a central flaw that actually you need to put her in situations that would upset her. I think.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't say anything about an electric car, whatever, if she's a kind of reserved person.
She probably wouldn't have a position on that.
Are gobshites that would just talk about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like David Glenn, he lives in a very particular world. But he can twist anything, I suppose, can't he, to his own, you know, like if you tell him what your daily routine is, he'll find a way to sell you his program.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mean maybe David and Barbara are slightly more stereotype, and maybe Frank and Janice are a bit more universal.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I'm definitely on the lookout for a new one.
Aye.
Answers on a postcard.
Well, they're always very enjoyable, and obviously you've got the Frank and Janice show coming up again at the Edinburgh Festival.
Yes, 14th and 15th of August at the Gilly Do. Just the
After
2 nights.
Oasis.
Oh
I
God,
was
when are
going to
they?
say, does that clash? No, is
No,
that the day
the
after?
last one. And
Just
it
as
was
well,
the,
eh?
The 12th.
Same audience.
There's a big Venn
I wear a
diagram
bucket
between-
hat the whole time. I'm just in the 14th and 15th.
Yeah.
2 dates because I'm in at the same time. I'm actually in Glasgow being an actor in a musical.
Oh wow!
Oh, nice.
So I'm doing both at the same time.
What musical is it?
It's called Rollers Forever. It's about the Bay City Rollers.
Nice.
So I'll be at the Pavilion being a musical theatre guy,
Brilliant.
and then running through to Edinburgh and being Frank and Janice.
Aye.
So yeah, please come and see it. It will be a new version of the second show in the trilogy, but you don't have to have seen
You don't
part
have to
1 or
see the
3.
first one.
They do stand alone.
Mhm.
They're only called a trilogy because there are 3 of them, and I always wanted to be like I wrote a trilogy.
Yeah.
They're kind of unrelated, so it's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
It's like the Lord of the Rings, but for.
Yeah,
You kind of.
Well, you do need to know the first one.
Aye. Not different.
It's not like Lord of the Rings.
but a similar amount of forensic investigation into character tropes and story arc.
Well, I would
Yeah.
argue that certainly.
Very much so.
Yeah,
Very
it's-
funny, as you've demonstrated much very well on this. Always so fun to watch, and do
Yes.
check it out if you're in Edinburgh this August.
100%.
Go along and see. What time are you on, by the way?
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
It's a Thursday and a Friday night.
Clashes me, don't bother.
Give me 2 nights. Could you take a couple of nights off?
I can take a couple
and
of nights
send
off.
some people down.
I'll
Aye.
be fine.
Yeah, you'll be
I'll
fine.
send them your way.
You've
Thank you
probably
very
already
much.
sold out your show. It's all right.
Yeah, I'll
not-
take
not
anyone
yet,
who's
but-
trying to get tickets for yours that can.
Yeah.
Come scraps from the table. Thank you.
Go and see Brido those dates when he's in town. I'm sure you'll do absolutely fine as well.
Thank you.
So, but no, listen, thanks for coming back, man. It's
Thank
lovely to
you.
see you.
Thanks
And
for having us.
I'll try and set up a meeting with you and my gran. I'd love to watch that.
Mate, amazing. The strangest bit of online dating I've ever done, anyway.
But well, thanks a lot. Aside for that, obviously we've got our own fun shows as well, as we mentioned.
Yes.
A couple of previews in July. Sign up to Patreon. Aside for that, that's probably about it for now.
I think so.
I think this week, I think the week they were releasing this, obviously we've got Summer Laugh is ongoing. Roscoe McClellan's special will be out this week. I believe it's called Slug Ninja.
Yes. Very
Recorded at
funny.
the Stand Comedy Club in Glasgow. Very funny boys, so do check that out. And aside from all that, we'll speak to you very soon.
Cheers. Cheers, Brido.